Ending Logan Paul's biggest scam, boys and girls. Here we go. We finally got to video number 3 out of 3. Hopefully the truth will be revealed. You know what? I'm not even going to talk too much. Let's just go straight into it. Let's find out what the fuck is going on here. So good. So good. Right.
For the last 6 months, I've been working on my own NFT project.
We've put hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. Personally, the whole team, $1 million plus.
We had an issue with Cryptozoo, where our lead developer took the code that he made, fled to Switzerland, actually fled to Switzerland, and like held it hostage for $1 million.
He literally never paid me anything at all, ever. Eddie promised me, 5% of the tokens and $1 million. He literally never paid me.
This reporter says Eddie's entire story is fake.
The biggest reason it failed, in my opinion.
Doug, I'm not the bad guy here.
Yeah.
There's some actual out there.
Yeah.
And it's not me. Like, I'm here to build.
He's here to build on top of the ashes of the past 2 scams he pulled already. So, how the fuck did people actually believe this in the first place? Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Welcome to part 3. So far, we've discovered fake orphans, millions of dollars stolen, and a cast of sleazy characters. But now, it's time to put it all together. What is the truth? And who's to blame? We're going to start by going through leaked text messages of the CryptoZoo team to understand all of their motivation. Then we'll go to blockchain evidence and show who sold what. And finally, we'll confront some of the people responsible. But before we can do any of that, we have to start in March of 2021, 6 months before the token even launched.
Wow, that's good. This is like a proper conspiracy video at this point.
Our 4 suspects, Logan, Crypto King, Eddie, and Jeff, are in a group chat discussing CryptoZoo, which starts as a copy of something else. Quote, "I like imitating crypto kitties," Jake the Crypto King says. Logan replies, "I agree." And initially, it wasn't called CryptoZoo at all. It was called Crypto Pets, and they were going to sell a Pets token. And pretty early on, it became clear this was all about money, how they were going to sell this thing to investors. In fact, Crypto King said he thought it was worth at least $20 million in only 6 months, saying the range is insane.
So, something I don't understand is, how do they value NFTs? Like, NFT doesn't actually generate money. NFT is valued when it's made. But then, if there is no other comparable market resource that you could balance it to, or if it's not regulated by the federal government, who's to say that, this token evaluation is 20 million? Like, I don't understand how that works. Because NFTs or cryptocurrencies or whatever, it's not actual currency. It is a form of currency, yes, but it's not regulated money. Therefore, the valuation isn't a stable one. So how can anyone say, oh yeah, to me it kind of feels like, okay, I'm just gonna slam this much amount of value on it, and then it's this value because I say so. But in reality, if I buy that token for the amount that they said it was worth, at the end of the day, I paid whatever they valued it, whatever they just pulled out of their fucking arses. I paid it, and I'm hoping that tomorrow that value will be the same, or somehow it will increase. But I mean, most of the times it decreases. Like, that's how digital currency works at the moment. It's not feasible, it's not stable. But yeah, so I never understood how that actually works.
$20 to $210 million. It's beautiful wherever we land. Eddie jumped in at this point and talked about how he could sell the project as an investment to a friend, Matt Higgins, saying, quote, he has to spend that $350 million somewhere. Why not us? And Logan says, I love that idea. Crypto King, I'm in. And of course, you have Jeff saying, let's go. So you can see right there, they wanted to sell this game before it had even launched.
Right.
Now later, Eddie amends the list of investors and says, quote, investors will be Gary Vee, Todd Morley, James Altucher, Ryan Kavanaugh, and others confirmed on my end. Supposedly, they had $100 million of investment interest. Now, I actually went to some of these investors and asked if this was true, and the one person who responded denied it, Ryan Kavanaugh. Quote, nope, not even a little bit. So this looks like it could be yet another lie from Eddie Ibanez, but either way, it looks like there was more issues than just finding investors.
So even before they even planned on starting the project, they were lying to each other about the investors and financials and everything. Dude, they weren't even scamming us. They were scamming each other in the first place.
Could be yet another lie from Eddie Ibanez, but either way, it looks like there was more issues than just finding investors because the team wanted to pre-sell tokens, and not everyone was sure it would be legal. Jake the Crypto King mentions that, quote, if we have a pre-sale, it opens us up to SEC issues. And Jeff agrees and says, don't want to do anything that brings the SEC eyeballs. Now, not everyone wanted to be so cautious, though. Logan argues everyone does pre-sale with coins. Eddie agrees. He says, you absolutely can do it. I have the SEC down, private and pre-sale.
Bro, so they knew what they were doing is fucking shit. It's not even a matter of, okay, we started something, we're too stupid, and then we basically hit fucking rock bottom. At this point, we're gonna run because we didn't realize how much we fucked up. It's not that. It's the case of they understanding that what they are doing is going to be possibly against the law in the first place, but oh, other people are doing it, so who the fuck cares? Like,
and honestly, it was quite the dilemma for this team who wanted money. You know, do a pre-sale, make millions, but you know, you have these potential legal issues. Don't do it, you make less money. So Crypto King comes up with a middle solution. He says, if we can't sell, no pre-sale. We can still trade them in the liquidity pool. And this is the start of a new disaster, which takes a bit of explaining. Now, just so we're clear, a pre-sale is where you sell investors coins, usually at a discount, before you've launched. And then when you launch, you give them those coins. Now, like I said, the team didn't want to do that. So what they did instead was they bought the tokens on the open market right after launch. But they tried to get clever with it because they didn't actually announce that they were launching this coin at all. They stealth launched it on June 11th and didn't announce this token through Logan until August 18th, meaning they had all that time to silently buy up as much of the supply at a steep discount as they wanted. And the idea here was that doing this, the team could get these tokens extremely cheaply, which is kind of like a pre-sale, but you know, without all the SEC troubles. And Crypto King makes this clear on June 7th when he says, quote, launch of the liquidity pool is where huge money will be made because you get in cheaper. And then says, we, the team, begin buying out the liquidity pool. Once the team has exhausted funds for the liquidity pool buying, we send the contract address to friends, family, investors who want to be able to get in. So obviously the plan is we buy first, then we give it to our close friends and family, and then maybe the public eventually, right? And even the day before, Crypto King reminds everyone, quote, Zoo Day is tomorrow. I highly recommend everyone get a few $100 to a few $1,000 in Zoo when it goes live. It will likely 10 to 1,000x. So that was their plan. Rather than doing a pre-sale, they were going to do this stealth launch and hopefully get tokens cheaply the same way, but without all the legal troubles.
right, hold on, but doesn't that still against the law in terms of, because that is basically what you're doing is you're reselling and it's not fair trade because you're buying way before anyone else knows that it's out. So the trade, the market that you're in isn't fair to everyone else. I'm pretty sure that's not fair trade, that's not fair market, that those are against the rules, aren't they? Legally, I mean. And also there's a ton of favoritism because you want to open it first to friends and family rather than the open market. Again, I don't know if that's actually legal in the first place.
Or at least that was the plan. Because on stealth launch day, this is where things first started to go wrong for the team. At first, everything seemed to go normal. The team sat in a circle and literally bought it out as planned. But the next day, Crypto King says something odd. Quote, a bot is playing with our token. Kind of cool to watch them work. But he doesn't mention who this bot is. And he also says the asshole finished selling, but doesn't mention who that is. Now, Jeff, Logan's manager, replies upset. He says, how do we prevent someone doing what they just did again? We went from a $130 million to $26 million market cap in 2 hours. It's not cool to watch. Logan jumps in. Yeah, wait, how did that happen? And he also says, what asshole? How did anyone get this token except for us and none of us sold? And I think actually this is incredibly suspicious because the implication of what Logan's saying is, hey, we tried to scheme this really well. We tried to all buy this without letting anyone know. How did anyone else figure out we were buying it?
Could it be that one of them actually sold it already for a profit and didn't tell anyone else? I can actually imagine that. I can see that happening because they are all so fucking scheming with each other in the first place. Oh, could it be fucking Jeff? Or not Jeff, the other one. The guy with the big teeth who lies about the fucking football. I don't even know the names. There's too many characters in the story already.
Right? And this is where
Eddie,
a fight
that's it,
ensues. That's going to become really interesting.
Sorry.
Right?
Eddie. I was talking
and
about Eddie.
this is where a fight ensues. That's going to become really interesting. Crypto King deflects the question by saying, my buyer pushed it back up to $40 million. And Logan says, no, bro, F your buyer. Explain to me what just happened and how there were 30 token holders. And Jake tries to explain that this was just traders and bots happening to find the token. But Logan says only 5 of us knew about it. Jake says, well, many people chase volume and new tokens. And to some extent, he's kind of right. But Logan replies, cap. He doesn't believe it. Quote, I can't be the only one who thinks that's too incredibly convenient. Like someone was tipped off. And look, no one's more critical of Logan than me. But as I'm reading these texts, I was kind of like agreeing. Like, yeah, it does seem too nonchalant when somebody's ruining your secret plot. You know what I mean?
Bloody
because Crypto
hell.
King was acting very strange. He says, we created $40 million out of thin air. This is a success. Logan replies, this nonchalance worries me. F 40 million. It was at 120 million, which again, it's all about the money with these guys. But truth be told, I did agree that Crypto King's attitude seemed strange in these texts. I mean, he's not wrong that bots are a thing. Traders are a thing. But it sounded like he didn't want anyone to look into it. So,
not to mention this day and age when there's like literally like NFTs maybe like 2-3 years ago were a bit rare on the market. Nowadays almost every other 14-year-old is hoping to make £1 billion fucking pounds by drawing a monkey or a donkey or whatever. So NFTs right now and all these tokens are so fucking flooded everywhere that I really don't, especially if you keep it a secret and if you do this in a way where you have the resources to keep it a secret, I really don't think people would just conveniently find it. Yeah, no. Unless someone knows exactly where to look, which is what he's talking about. So, interesting. Jake, little snitch.
So, naturally, I looked into it. And what I found surprised me, because there were bots, but there's also unusual human activity during this time. So I tracked the 5 biggest buyers of this Zoo coin. And lo and behold, this is what I found. Logan was one of the biggest buyers, which is what you'd expect. But he wasn't the biggest. In fact, 2 of the biggest wallets seem to be associated with Crypto King himself. And here's where I paused. I said, wait a second. Why did this guy buy more Zoo tokens than Logan when this is mostly Logan's project? I thought Crypto King was a small part of this team. And so to get more info on this, I actually got access to an internal meeting note from the day of June 11th, which they called Zoo Day. And in it, we find actually some interesting information. We see that 5 founders bought in. They apparently were, quote, trading in circles until each person maxed out. But on the list of buyers and how much they spent are only 4 people, when we know 5 people bought. We have Danny, Logan's assistant, for 20K, Logan Paul for 100K, Jeff at 100K, and Eddie at 100K, but Crypto King is nowhere to be found. And yet, on the blockchain, I have him putting in $200,000 worth. And this number, by the way, seemingly is confirmed in a conversation I had with Crypto King, where he said, my 200K investment. And the reason this is important is because it does imply that something shady was going on the day of the stealth launch. Because Crypto King had a relatively small role in this whole project. He was the advisor, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Like you can see from the internal meeting notes, they have a breakdown of who's getting what in terms of founder tokens. And like Logan Paul's getting 51%, Eddie's getting 30%, Jeff's getting 10%. Jake's only getting 5% of tokens.
Fucking hell, like, okay, Logan Paul was estimating that he will get 255 billion. He wanted to be richer than Elon Musk at this point. But when you have a scammer that's scamming your team that's already planning to scam the world, oh my god, there is no honor amongst thieves. I mean, that is the perfect fucking little little phrase I can just put in there. I am absolutely sure. I know I'm not reacting much and I'm really sorry, but this is fucking shocking. Like, what the hell?
But he has the most of these like stealth launch tokens, which makes no sense. And it got me thinking that maybe what explains this suspicious behavior around like, oh, don't worry about who is buying at the time of the launch. Maybe that's explained because Perhaps no one knew that he was buying up large parts of the token supply. Maybe he was buying it to sell later. Now, of course, that's speculation, so that's why I confronted Crypto King on all of this. But before we get to that call, let's address the elephant in the room. Okay. Logan didn't accuse Crypto King of being a scam. It was the other way around. Crypto King told Logan Paul he was a scammer. And the question is, why? Well, to answer that, we have to go from June, the stealth launch date, to September 1st, the official launch date of Cryptozoo.
September 1st, cryptozoo.co.
Now, the day of the launch was a bit strange because you might think, well, they already have a token, right? But the first thing they did was actually create a new Zoo token with a different code, but the same name. And they actually airdropped all the holders of the first Zoo token with an identical amount of those coins on the second Zoo token. So you might be wondering, why did they do that? Well, maybe it's to change the smart contract, but maybe it's because of what they did do. They blacklisted some of the holders. In other words, they didn't airdrop to everyone, including Jake the Crypto King. They excluded his wallets so it couldn't get these Zoo coins. Jake texts the group about this the next day, saying, quote, "The Zoo team made a major error this weekend. They chose not to communicate, mint a new token, and airdrop it to whatever wallets they determined fit. This decision came from Eddie and Logan, and I had no part in it. 11,250 wallets before the airdrop, under 11,000 after. They chose to blacklist and ban over 200 wallets. Now, who those wallets are, I have no idea." But he continues, quote, "As a founder like Logan, Jeff, Eddie, and Danny, I had purchased a large quantity of tokens. 5+ of my wallets had been blacklisted from the original team's buys." Now, I don't know why he had 5+ wallets there, but okay. He says 80+ billion Zoo tokens were confiscated from me to date without any communication. So, wow. That's why Crypto King accused Logan of stealing from him or scamming. It's because he was frozen out of a lot of his wallets. And then we get to the text you guys all know. He says, "Logan, you stole $40 million. You're a scammer. You're a con artist, all that stuff. You betrayed your community. The reality is you aren't that guy." And Logan responds, "Oh, Jake, trust me, bro. I am that guy." Cue "In the Arms of an Angel." And look, I mean, what do we make of this? Well, I don't know. I can't root for either of these guys because it's...
Okay, I am so confused. So the Crypto King tried to go behind those fours back and buying a lot more tokens than any of them did, right? And then possibly Logan found it out, had a chat with those guys about Jake potentially going behind their backs. They made a new coin. They airdropped their wallets, but refused to do the same for Jake because they thought that he was the black sheep, so to speak. And then when that happened, Jake turned to Coffeezilla, obviously our amazing host, and then wanted to create a narrative where Logan is the ultimate scammer who basically stole all the tokens from Jake when it was actually Jake in the first place who went behind their back. I'm not saying if Logan did that, that was a good call, but what I'm saying is that they're both basically are at like a digital war of... Oh, fuck. This, honestly, this is heavy. Like, this is like, I need to process this shit.
Sounds like Logan stabbed him in the back, but it sounds like Crypto King may have stabbed him in the back in the first place,
yeah.
Right? Because it does appear like he bought tokens that maybe everyone didn't know about. So I'm really not a fan of anyone in this situation. And by the way, this whole thing was structured so misleadingly from the beginning. I have to talk to you a bit about it because you might think that these tokens were the only tokens they had, but it's not even true. In the distribution section of Zoo's white paper, they say there's 2 trillion tokens, and a quarter of that are allocated to development, marketing, and founders. Those aren't even the tokens we're talking about right now, because they claim that those tokens were locked up for 6 months, and then afterwards, 10% was unlocked every month. And if that's true, there would be no reason for these funds to be blacklisted, right? Why would you blacklist something that would be locked up? And the answer is because, well, the founders had more than one set of tokens. Not only did they supposedly have these founder tokens that were locked up and couldn't be sold, these stealth launch tokens were different from that. It's like a whole different thing.
Of course they were.
And the tokens that they bought that all of these guys bought, they could sell at basically any time because they weren't locked up, which is a massive problem. And this fact was explicitly laid out in their meeting notes with only one rule. They say, quote, no selling until $200 million market cap, and don't impact the market more than 3%, and not impact the market more than 10% in a day. And by the way, this is basically conspiracy to manipulate a market.
Yeah.
You know, they're literally having insider rules for how to sell, but we're going to not even...
Again, that's a completely different legal issue. Again, under fair trade, I believe, or is it fair market? One of the two. This is the problem with this fucking shit not being regulated. I'm not even sure exactly what laws apply here, because money would be, on this case, and fair use of trade, fair trade of products. But, I mean, I don't know if this is, if digital currency is under fair use of products. Is it under the fair market? Is it under fair trade? Is it even under any of those? Is there any restriction as to what you can do? Maybe that's why it's so easy to scam with crypto nowadays, because absolutely no one knows how to, like, judge the situation, because simply there are no laws on it. Like, I have no idea. I haven't actually read too deep into cryptos. I mean, Bitcoin and all those, yes, but not these new tokens and NFTs and whatever the fuck they come up with next.
And we're going to look past that, right? Because these rules eventually kind of changed. A text from Logan's manager, Jeff Levin, came to the group chat, Zoo Founders, saying, guys, new and absolute rules. No one is to sell or transfer any Zoo. Logan's going to make the call when we can make moves. And Logan replies, your tokens do not leave your wallet. This is a game. Now, that all sounds well and good. Don't sell your tokens, don't sell your tokens. But the reality was, I mean, they're just kind of trusting each other, because these tokens that they're talking about, they're unlocked. They're not locked up, and they could sell it at any time. And I guess the question on my mind is that why Crypto King's tokens were blacklisted? Because they thought he would sell? Or maybe it's just the fact they found out he bought and they didn't know about all those tokens. It's honestly hard to say without knowing more evidence.
Absolutely true. However, I would still dispute the fact that the fact is that you want to manipulate a market. Therefore, you don't want anyone to sell, and because you don't trust one person enough, now you're gonna blacklist them because they may sabotage your attempt in manipulating a financial market that is like so federal criminal activity. Like, there is no other, like, if Logan Paul gets away with this, now that this information is like literally public, then I don't even know what to say about the justice system. Like, this is such conspiracy to regulate and manipulate financial markets to basically gain millions, and while others lose millions collectively. And it was all premeditated. It's not even just a happy accident, you know. Fucking hell, honestly.
And this is where we're going to jump into the blockchain.
Okay.
Now, I've tracked the wallets of the entire team and identified the largest seller of Zoo in the team. And it wasn't Jeff. It wasn't Danny. It wasn't even Logan. It was Crypto King. Crypto King sold, by my calculations, millions of dollars. And I know what you're thinking, how's that possible, right? I thought his tokens were blacklisted the day of the official launch. How could he sell that much? Well, the answer is that not all of his tokens were blacklisted. He had even more tokens behind the scenes. And what's worse,
that's why he said 5+ accounts, because these people, Logan thought that he has 2 accounts, right? Because there was the 2 accounts that bought more tokens than Logan was both Jeff's, the Crypto Kings, right? So they must have blacklisted those, but they didn't know about the 5+ who knows how many other wallets that he had. So it must be those ones. I am like tripping on my own speech at this point, because my brain is processing all this information so hard. Like, it's not even fluent anymore what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is just not, it's kind of like rocky. Fuck. All right, let's continue. Sorry, I'm rambling, sorry.
the CryptoZoo team actually gave him back a lot of his blacklisted tokens, which I guess you can see as a good thing or a bad thing because he then turned around and sold those tokens, right? And from my blockchain analysis across his blacklisted tokens he got back and the tokens that he had squirreled away the whole time, he ended up making $6 million.
Damn.
He did this by sending out tokens from these larger wallets to dozens of smaller wallets, selling it, and then sending the money to final cash out wallets. So I used those final wallets to calculate the amount he made. Now, I know, look, it's a lot to accuse someone of selling $6 million in a project that doesn't even work. It's a giant scam. So I wanted to give him a chance to defend himself. So I got on a call with Crypto King. And here's what he said when I finally revealed that I knew he had sold.
Okay. All right, let's get ready for this, lads. Hold on. I need to sip my coffee. I'm getting ready for this. All right. Oh my god. Why is this so intense? Why am I so invested in this? I don't understand. What is this doing to my brain?
It's gonna change this whole fucking story. Yeah, I'll go on the record for you, and yes, I'm gonna show you the text message that say we can sell at these ascending market caps, and literally, I'm gonna 100%. It sounds like your biggest issue with me is that I sold, and if that's your biggest issue with me, that's the truth.
Wow, that is a big admission. Selling tokens for a project that you're an advisor on when the project has never been delivered. Although Crypto King insists that it wasn't $6 million and he wasn't trying to rug a project.
I'm sorry. This guy just full-on incriminated himself. And I believe Logan has incriminated himself in the last video. Eddie is already incriminated because of all the lies he told. He's basically a con artist. So there's only the fourth person, who I forgot the name of, who so far I'm not too sure whether how much they were in this whole thing. But yeah, 4 out of 3. We've got 3. Fucking hell. We've got 3 out of 4. I can't even. My brain doesn't even work anymore.
Crypto King insists that it wasn't $6 million and he wasn't trying to rug a project. In fact, you know, really, he might be the one who got screwed over in all of this.
Like, I didn't sell $6 million worth. That's going to be other wallets, but that's probably not going to be able to be me being able to be proven, except for them saying, can you send BNB to all these different wallets for me? Which that I'll be able to show you that I was giving BNB to the whole team. I will also be able to show you that I was a 5% holder of the Zoo tokens that I was promised to be given over the 3-month period, was never given. I can also show you that I was frozen out and was never given the 15 billion tokens back that I paid for in cash. So
Okay.
I'll show you all of those things on the record, and then you can also say that I did sell, which is also true.
Yep.
But as long as it's accompanied with he was a founder that was supposed to be given 5% of the project and was never given the token or paid, worked for almost a year on the project, as long as that goes in with it, then at least that tells my side of the story so people understand that it's not like I was trying to rug a project. It's like I put $250,000 into a project plus 6 months of time, and the founder never did anything he said he was going to do, and then hired a bunch of devs that didn't do what they were going to do, and every time I gave advice, the advice was I was told to fuck off. So it can be that story, or it can be he sold all this amount and he got in early. Well, yeah, that's like 1% of it though.
Incredible. He sounds like he views himself as the victim, or at least like he got screwed too, which just has to win the gold medal for me for mental gymnastics because, I mean, he literally had put $200,000 into this and he says he made millions of dollars. Even if you take him at his word that he didn't make the full 6 million, he admits to me later that it might be a pretty close guess. He tells me via text, quote, "I don't care if you tell people I sold a few million and leave it at that." Well, okay, $6 million, a few $1 million, it's millions of dollars, right? Millions of dollars when you only put in $200,000 into a project that's never been delivered, doesn't work, scammed people out of their money. How is he saying he's the one who's in the wrong? Well, in his...
This is where, like, scumbags, and I'm going to use the word scumbag, it's like they don't even understand, oh, I didn't make the initial 25 billion that I was supposed to, I only made 6 million, therefore cry for me, you know what I mean? It's like, what about everyone else? Like, I really fucking hope that these people actually watch this and maybe, just maybe, have this other perspective that actually they are the ones who are fucking everyone over. And within the team themselves as well, you know, each other. But at the same time, that's not the point, because at the end of the day, they are all rich. They all have nice lives. There are people out there who can't fucking afford heating at the moment, and these people may or may not have been a victim. You know, I don't know, but I'm saying it's a possibility. Fucking hell.
His view, what he did was not wrong. It might have been arguably unethical, but it wasn't illegal. And what Logan did, well, that was illegal.
You can say the timing was bad and it was inappropriate to sell, but the reality is I bought tokens open market and sold them open market. So there was nothing illegal about that. Ethically, arguable. The rest that Logan did to me was ethically wrong and illegal.
Now, what do I think of all this finger pointing? Well, I think it's pretty wild to try to make yourself look like the lesser of two evils when you made millions of dollars and investors lost millions.
Can I just go back? Sorry for pausing so frequently. When he says he sold on the open market, no, so he bought it on the open market and then he sold it on the open market. Well, that's not quite true, because he bought it in a secret market that wasn't even. It was launched, of course, but it wasn't advertised. It wasn't a fair market. Therefore, I don't think even that purchase is legal, or at least. Well, yeah, I don't think that's, you know, because again, it's kind of like what. Remember when the PS5 came out and there was all these bots buying up the PS5, like literally within the first second, and one bot was able to make like, I don't know, like 500 purchases. So then these people, they paid the original price and then they resold it for like maybe even double the original price for like 1,000, 1,500. You know, so many people were desperate, they actually bought it, right? So that became illegal. Why? Because it wasn't a fair market, because a human can't actually go against a bot when it comes to purchases, so the market wasn't fair. Therefore, it was deemed illegal. So again, this is kind of that situation. It's a bit different, but again, it's that the market wasn't fair. The traders weren't in an advantage. These traders were in an advantage as opposed to everyone else who was on the market. Therefore, this transaction shouldn't even stand as legal in the first place. So again, the excuse that he's saying shouldn't stand, in my opinion. But hey, what do I know about American stock markets and cryptos and whatever? I just read a few articles, to be honest with you.
I just do. Now, at the same time, I want to be fair to Crypto King. He's not the only one who sold here. But I also have to say, not everyone from the founders did sell. For example, Jeff, Logan's manager, to my knowledge, never sold. Neither did Logan Paul, which was a huge surprise. All their wallets that I tracked, you know, held on to their tokens, which is good, and to their credit for a game that doesn't work. But you know who did sell? Eddie Ibanez.
Of course he did.
The guy who didn't pay the initial devs, the supposed MIT orphan. Yeah, from what I could see, his initial wallet got a ton of Zoo, sent it to a bunch of smaller wallets, and then sold off, kind of like Crypto King. And for my calculations, he made about $1.7 million. Now, I have to tell you that, like Jake, I tried to confront him and give him the opportunity to defend himself, but he never replied to my emails or my phone calls, and we're just gonna have to leave it there. But we're not done with the money just yet, because we still need to talk about the eggs. Remember, we talked about how they profited from ZooCoin, but they also made millions from eggs. According to their own internal meeting notes, they plan to make about $3 million selling these eggs for 0.1 ETH a piece. And that's not far from what I calculated they actually did make, which was about $2.5 million. In the meeting notes, they say they're going to clear expenses and then do payouts. But payout who? They don't say. And these expenses are referencing an earlier note suggesting Eddie and Logan had both spent $300,000 each, which I'll say is not $1 million. But okay, we'll give it to them, right? So they got paid back their $600,000, but where does the rest of the money go? Well, on the Ethereum side, there's one payout for $364,000 to one wallet and another $1 million to another. Both are Coinbase addresses, so we don't know who exactly that is, but clearly someone on the team made a lot of money from these NFT egg sales that do not work. And on the Binance Smart Chain side, where they also made money selling eggs, the zoo that was spent was supposed to be set aside for 50% to be burned, which they did, but the other 50% was supposed to be allocated for wildlife charities and Cryptozoo development. Now, neither seems to have happened because all the money is in a wallet that the team still controls. So there are open questions about, you know, where that money is going to go and where the
Oh yeah, because a group of scammers that not only scam the outside world, but they even scam each other, are definitely the type of people who would then go and donate to charity. Like, fuck off. I had a comment on my previous video. If you're watching, hey, thanks for commenting. And he said that he really hopes that KSI's name isn't going to be dragged down by this, because obviously he and Logan are in the prime drink. They are associated with each other in a business way. So if Logan comes out as this huge scumbag of a con artist, what that will do to KSI's name. And I really do hope that KSI doesn't really get dragged too deep into it. At the same time, you know, it does. I mean, listen, I like KSI. I didn't like him before, but I think he did change. I never believed that Logan changed. And I really, with every fucking fiber in my body, hope that KSI didn't know anything regarding this. I really hope that. So yeah, let's just leave it at that. Let's watch the rest of this video.
The Ethereum money went. Did it go to Jake? Did it go to Logan? Did it go to Jeff? Did it go to Eddie? We don't know. But what I know for sure is that no one was innocent, although there are certainly shades of guilt you can argue about, because of course, not everyone did sell. You could look at that as the most important thing. Logan Paul didn't sell. Jeff, Logan's manager, didn't sell. But does that make them innocent?
No.
Well, I don't think so, because they never built a game they promised people. Logan Paul specifically got millions of dollars spent on this game on the promise of the technology that he never built, that his team never built. And he never addressed the failure except to blame his developers who weren't paid. And you could say he promised to work backwards to fix it, but then never did. But at the same time, it's clearly not just Logan's fault either, because there are major team issues, right? You've got Eddie selling millions of dollars of Zoo and then allegedly not paying developers. You've got Jeff, who was warned about Eddie, who kept him on the team anyways, and then after they fired Eddie, seems to also have failed to pay developers on time. And then you've got Crypto King himself, who sold the most, but claims he was the guy who was scammed, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's just like Avengers Assemble for the worst possible team you can imagine to build a crypto gang. And so, unsurprisingly, it turns out a lot of these guys backstabbed each other. And so, finding a way to wrap this up was difficult because it's hard to assign exact proportions of blame. Because if you focus on any one person, you kind of miss why this project failed. CryptoZoo, at the end of the day, did not fail because the price went too low. CryptoZoo failed because they never built a functioning game that...
There was no product at all. Like, there was absolutely no product. And I mean, that was clear from the very first video when he talked to the people who invested in it. Like, after a year, they couldn't even cash out their own investments. It's fucking ridiculous.
The price went too low. CryptoZoo failed because they never built a functioning game that they promised. Really, the number one problem, even bigger than people selling millions of dollars of tokens, was that they never paid the developers on time, as boring as that is. And as a result, the investors not only got rugged for millions of dollars, which is a problem, but they just didn't get the core thing they had bought from the beginning, which was not a crypto project, but something different.
I'm excited to launch my game.
You keep using and you just did it again, you keep using a word there, game. You're not using like a project. It's a game.
It's a game. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
That's it. That to me is the biggest scam in all of this. Yes, it's a huge problem. People stole millions of dollars, but it's a symptom of the larger issue, which is people didn't actually care about the game or this, whatever you want to call it. They just cared about the money. And this is ultimately what happens when you have an influencer LARPing as a businessman. It's what happens when you have...
This happened so many times before, and it's just so unfortunate. And the fact is that it happened so many times before, not by many different people. It's usually the same people doing it again and again and again. Logan has done it. I think Jake has done it. I just don't understand, man. I really don't understand how they have that thick of a skin where they can go on live fucking interviews and be like, dude, I have nothing to do with this. It was that person, that person, that person, when they have a history of scamming people. It's like, you have to be born to be one of these dicks, man, like, honestly.
And this is ultimately what happens when you have an influencer LARPing as a businessman. It's what happens when you have a liar LARPing as a developer. And it's what happens when you have a shady crypto guru LARPing as a crypto king. you end up with a mess, and in my personal opinion, a fraud as well. And now that this thing blew up in their faces, these four seem to be dodging accountability faster than SBF dodges calls with me. Because I have reached out to everyone involved. I've tried to get all of their statements on things. So far, no one has taken accountability or offered to refund the victims at all. They're all hiding, pretending these victims don't even exist. But they do exist. And throughout my investigations, they've been the heartbeat of this whole thing. So I decided to close this investigations in a bit of a unique way. Rather than me deciding who's to blame or me deciding what you should think, I want to give them the last word.
Everyone's to blame. Logan, in the sense of his poor management, is his project. He still made these promises to people.
I think everyone it is to blame, including Logan Paul, of course, because he was the one in charge of this.
Yeah, it was his idea.
He was responsible for all of this mess.
Everybody has a big part and a massive cross to bear.
Definitely.
Each one of them scammed the project in their own way, and then off to the sunset they went.
It was his job to check the team, to make sure that everyone is working together, to make sure that he is giving the funds of the people that put it into his project under his name to people that he actually trusts. So in my opinion, if the team failed to perform, that's Logan Paul to blame.
Yeah.
The community is destroyed. People is angry. They just want their money back. They just want their normal lives back.
Reimburse those loyal fans that they have, or how to rebuild the project, actually deliver on the project. For those who are still holding their eggs, like I am, or for those holding the Zoo coins. So maybe they could just deliver what they promised, and that would give some redemption to this fiasco.
He's not said a word. That's as bad, or almost as bad, as taking the money. It's the not coming out and just being a man about it.
Yeah, man, this is actually heartbreaking. Like, listen, we can just sit here and call Logan Paul a scumbag or an arsehole or whatever, and he is, you know, and then, you know, this video can end, and then I can put my headphones down and then go and, you know, walk my dog and, you know, have dinner or whatever. But at the end of the day, the reality of the situation is these people, they've been scammed out of so much money, and who knows? I mean, you know, I do believe that if you have like $100,000 to just spend on NFTs, okay, you probably are fine. But I mean, I do believe that there are amongst these people some who actually spend maybe half of their entire savings in a hope of, you know, not redemption, but like in a hope of, you know, a life-changing turn of events. Like, you know, if you take Bitcoin, for example, if you invested in Bitcoin in 2012, Bitcoin was like, what, £2 or something. By 2019, it was like 40,000. So your £2 got turned into 40,000. Like, process that for a second. And then, obviously, when you think like that, you can't really blame these people for looking at the opportunity. Because at the end of the day, if this worked and if this was done professionally, there is a possibility that that may have happened to some people, at least to some of the investors. But this was never in the intention in the first place, because this project was never supposed to work. This project was supposed to be an immediate money cow, and that's it. And even if this project was completed, it would have been abandoned as soon as they got the amount of money that they predicted they would get. And then they would just leave the community to die. Because eventually, if there's no real traders, if there's only the initial investors, and then they trade for a while, the market value will eventually decrease because there's no bigger activity on it and there's no actual like liquidity in it. So I don't know, man.
At least we deserve to know what was happening behind the scenes while we were waiting for almost a year and a half. The fact that we're hearing this information not from Logan Paul but from pretty much an investigator, it really says a lot.
What did this loss mean to me? It meant a lot, not just personally, because I lost quite a lot of money. My kid and also my wife were invested. It was like telling a kid that Santa doesn't exist or something like that, because She really believed in all that game. She really believed in Logan Paul. Kids look up to that kind of people. So it was some kind of broken dream.
My mother, my mum was invested. My sister was also invested. So, I mean, my daughter even had a couple of the.
Ultimately, at the end, the way I see it is, it was fraud. Logan could have put out the red flags, told people to stop investing more into it, because people were investing into this project until the very last minute, where the ship was still just sinking down the ocean, and people were still putting their cash into it.
If I was on a call with Logan Paul, I would ask him, where did his redemption arc go? I think he was on such a good streak going about his YouTube career and boxing as well, and it's sad to see that because of money, once again, we have degraded down to stealing from his viewers.
What's even worse is the fact that exactly, yes, it is all about money, but the fact is that Logan Paul is already rich. Like, there is no doubt about it. He has so much investment. He has this fucking prime drink that makes him probably millions of, tens of millions, right? And, you know, he does, like, this 2, 3, 4 million pounds, realistically to Logan is not as valuable as it would be to you or to me, for example. Okay, we are like, I would imagine, we are normal, you know, working to middle class people. We're not necessarily within the higher ups, you know. And the fact is that he's willing to betray his entire fan base for something that's not even as valuable as it would be for us, you know. Because if someone like me or someone like, you know, someone on our financial level would do this, at least there would be that, okay, he was desperate for the money or something, you know, he needed the money. But Logan Paul doesn't even need that. He's basically doing this scam for the sake of greediness and for the sake of just getting quick money. Because, you know, the amounts, the maybe even tens of, God knows how many millions he has in his bank, plus his investments, plus his fucking cars, plus his houses, plus everything he owns. It's just not enough. And that's the justification as to why he's stabbing everyone in the back, all of his loyal fans. Bear in mind, these fans are the one who elevated him to this fucking level in the first place. It's disgusting. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. And yes, you can go say, oh yeah, but the people actually bought it, they invested in it, like they did it without knowing, they shouldn't have, and you're right, yes, they shouldn't have. At the end of the day, are we gonna blame them? Or are we gonna blame the people who deliberately, in the first place, before even starting the project, planned a scheme to scam everyone, you know? So, is that justification enough? Each to their own, I suppose, I don't know.
What would I say to Logan Paul and his team if I could? Well, actually, I could, because I have an NFT from other project that gives me the right to see Logan Paul, to meet and greet with him. And I will actually use that right to tell him this story again, show him this video in front of me, and see how he reacts when he sees that my family, my whole family and my kid are affected with this situation, because I think that's not human.
You would think that Logan would have told his...
That's just wishful thinking that you have the right to meet him, man. Honestly, do you really think he would respond?
Fellow followers, his loyal fans, that, hey guys, back off, red flag, things are, there's turbulence in the water. No, not a single word, nothing whatsoever.
To market products at children and knowing full well that his team is made up of people that he believes are shady characters. Yeah, he still goes on Forbes interviews and says the game is great for kids. It's gonna be amazing.
Who loves it most? The kids. Their kids love it.
Our developers' kids, all of them, cannot stop playing the game.
I think that is inhumane, the way that side of it's been marketed.
Knowing what's happened since, knowing that all of the people that were there from the beginning, like all of the guys that I'd speak to on a daily basis, that we've all just got nothing now. Ideally, I just want to say I'll see you in court.
Yes. Please, 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 guys, take him to court. There is no other way that he would, you know, be held accountable. Because obviously he's not doing it himself, because he doesn't give a shit. Oh, I really hope that this is not the end of the story. I really hope this is the start of the fall of Logan Paul and his entire team. So I'm not just trying to push the blame on this one person. But I really hope that these people unite and bring the one of the biggest score cases a YouTube influencer have ever seen. I really fucking hope that. Dear Steven, there are certain legal issues around the company and its products that precludes us at present from answering any questions. It is our hope that these will be resolved shortly for everyone's satisfaction, and at that point we will reach out to you. Interesting. Well, seems like that is the end of this video, eh? God damn it. I'm just waiting for some last minute surprise, but I don't think there will. I don't think we'll have that now. Holy shit. Well, final thoughts. I really hope this is not the end. I want this claim to be fulfilled. I want them to reach out to this person, to have an interview, a phone call, whatever, and you know, it's saying something. I don't even care if it's not even true what they're. I just want them to do something about it. To you know, to not to just hide. That's one. Secondly, I want the victims to collectively unite, bring all the evidence, each person that has something on Logan and the entire team and this Cryptozoo scam nonsense. I want them to create one folder where they literally pile everything in. I want them to get together, raise enough funds for a decent lawyer, and just hand the entire fucking folder to this person, and you know, let that snowball roll off Mount Everest, and hopefully by the time it reaches the bottom, it will be a catastrophic, huge fucking ravine that Logan Paul will just be buried in. Fuck, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome videos in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.